Together here at Gamescom, and we are showing another exciting update that's coming up to Fallout 76. This is the Punkt Zero. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yes, so Punkt Zero is a really big update. We've got a lot of exciting new features in that. We've got the caravanning update for one, where players can earn their own caravan outpost and do caravan runs for the Blue Ridge Caravan Company. We've got legendary crafting, which will give players a lot more agency and customizability in how they tailor their gear. That's weapons, armor, power armor. We've got best builds, which is a great first step in connecting our builders, giving them more ways to show off their cool camps. Yeah, it's a huge patch. We've also got combat rebalance, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned the caravan event. So, from a experienced player's point of view, what would you say will be the biggest difference, like the biggest innovation between this event and the previous world events in 76?
You mean like what are the differences between them? So, you know, when I get into the game and I find myself hopping around from event to event to event, and I can tell that a lot of players are doing that too, because I'll see the same people in the events when I'm going to them. So there's always that kind of lull space in between them, and maybe people will go and script some of their legendaries, and maybe they'll go to the train station or whatnot. But caravans are really cool because they'll take about 8 to 10 minutes to run, and so in between events, if you want, you and your friends could go get a caravan going and sort of build it up sort of as you're doing events too. Or if you just want to do back-to-back caravans with your friends, that option's available as well. So it's a very versatile feature. I think will sort of fill the space for players' playtime.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And you also mentioned we will be introducing the best builds feature. Are you a camp builder yourself, maybe?
I'm a camp builder, but I'm not going to pretend to be a good one. But I am a camp builder, yes.
So, do you have maybe like a favorite camp? Have you seen in the game somewhere, or maybe a camp that you think that would be really cool in 76?
So I've always been a big fan of dungeon camps, where it feels
trap camps.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I like trap camps, but I mean like more dungeon camps with a really kind of dark motif and fire and torches and stuff, and you're going underground and there's prison cells. Anyways.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we will be surely seeing more of that stuff in the future. But Punkt Zero will be the 20th major update for 76, which is a huge feat, and I want to congratulate you and the team for that feat. But I do think we have a lot more to come for the game. And maybe can you spoil a thing or two for our players? Maybe a bit more of Enclave, who knows?
54 patches, 20 content updates. Only just getting started, folks. There's a lot more exciting stuff to come. Enclave, you say. So, a little earlier this year, we teased a feature coming at the end of this year that we're calling the Gleaming Depths. It's raids, the Gleaming Depths. This is actually a fresh take on raids within Fallout 76. And this raid happens to take place inside of an abandoned Enclave research lab. So lots of fun Enclave content coming, for sure.
Yeah, I think that there will be plenty players that will be happy to hear this, I'm sure of that. And they knew who I'm thinking about. So, moving on to the community questions, because I have a plethora of them for our Polish players. First one will be like really technical one, let's say, and it also touches the camp thing, because we have a lot of great items added to the Atom shop. We have a lot of great plans that people can place, great items, great possibilities, but current budget seems to be limiting builders more and more. So is it possible in the future to increase the camp budget and make their lives easier?
It is possible. We've discussed that quite a bit. We have some loose plans for it that not really too ready to go into more details today, but it has been discussed quite a lot. Another step towards sort of increasing that build budget would also be to take another look at what a lot of these items cost in the camp budget. That hasn't been looked at in a little bit. It could use a freshening up, which would definitely free up a little bandwidth for our builders as well.
And touching another base on that, there is also the UI thing, because we have a lot of new stuff, so the UI gets more packed. We have categories that are really full of items. Do you consider that it might be a good move to rework that part at some point?
Absolutely, that would be a big quality of life boost. You know, when Fallout 76 first shipped, there were maybe a couple hundred things or so to sort through in that menu. So at the time, the menu was very effective. But come 6 years later, I'm pretty sure that you can have close to 2,000 or 3,000 things in that menu, which, you know, if you're one of our avid Atomic Shop purveyors, then that's a lot of stuff to sort through.
Yeah.
So we do have plans to revisit that, make it more user friendly, make it more welcoming for our builders, existing builders and new ones.
Yeah, I hope that we'll have a lot more builders in the future. And speaking of the number of players, this is also a question that comes up pretty often. Is it possible at some point to think about crossplay in 76?
So that's been discussed too. It's not an impossibility, but the technical aspect of that makes it not very probable. So there are no direct plans for it currently. It has been discussed, but yeah.
So you don't say no, but it's not like we are going to get it soon.
I don't say absolutely not, but I kind of say no.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a valuable update too. And what do you think about, because we have a lot of players that like to form teams, play together, form their groups, create their own Discord channels, stuff like that. Do you think that it is possible for a permanent factional clan system to be introduced to 76 at some point?
Perhaps. I think that would be really fun. You know, the lore and the history of Fallout with the different groups certainly lends itself to introduced gameplay mechanics that kind of follow suit, like a Raiders faction, and even sub-factions like a Blood Eagles faction. And so that also has been discussed with some plans around that, kind of looping in the concept of factions into various features. But yeah, we're still exploring it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, and I think and I hope we will hear more about this in the future. And touching again on items and on the lore of the game, we introduced a lot of really cool stuff in Fallout 76, a lot of new items that were new to the Fallout lore. Let's say new types of power armors, such as T65, like Union or Hellcat. So do you think and plan to maybe expand the lore behind these items to make them more, explain a bit more how they get to the Fallout world?
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes a lot of the intrigue in certain things in the game, or even factions, sometimes a lot of that intrigue lies in the mystery or the few details that you've picked up about it as a player. So being able to kind of piece those together in your head sort of creates a rich backstory. However, we do have plans to sort of give a bit more backstory and exposition to the history of some of those pieces and existing factions and as well.
Do you have like your own personal favorite lore piece in 76?
My own personal favorite lore piece, I would say I really enjoy the whole Brotherhood of Steel quest line from Steel Dawn to Steel Rain. I think it's a lot of fun and a great experience.
Yeah, all Brotherhood of Steel fans can only say ad Victoriam right now. So, we already spoke about Enclave, we touched the Brotherhood of Steel, but there is also one more thing that players mention pretty often, which is something that got really hit them during recent events, such as Fosnacht. So, what's your take on players who simply AFK the events? And do you plan to address the feedback that some parts of our community have been giving us so far?
Sure. So our events are meant to be engaging. It's supposed to promote team play and definitely encourage that. So seeing players AFK certain events, while I understand while they're doing it, we are looking into ways to mitigate that across a lot of events. I'd say Fosnacht is probably the first one that comes to mind, and it's not to punish players. It's to encourage the teamwork and the participation. So it's more of more of kind of taking a look at how the rewards are given out during the events, and maybe coming up with a way that's more engaging for players so they don't feel that they have to AFK to get the cool stuff.
Yeah, so teamwork is definitely my favorite part of 76 gameplay. So are we going to have like more events or more fights or more challenges that will make you need the team play, or to team up with right players, choose your roles? Do you plan something like that?
Yes, absolutely. The Gleaming Depths is coming later this year. It's meant for higher level players, groups of up to 4, and it's mandatory that you have really tight teamwork, good gear, lots of challenges in there. I think that our experienced adventurers are going to really enjoy it quite a bit.
Oh, I like this one already, I can tell you. Okay, so a bit more, let's say, general questions right now, because I still have a few left from our community, which I'm really thankful for you asking the questions to Jon. So we know that at some point there might be pets coming to the game, but speaking of pets, are we thinking only cats and dogs, so typical domestic pets, or maybe also some other pets, other animals? I know that a few players are already searching for a way to tame a deathclaw, which is doable in game under some conditions. So maybe.
What would be your go-to pet if you could pick anything from Fallout?
I'd say a mole rat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. That sounds like fun. Pets, yes. So pets has definitely been talked about a lot. We have looked into it quite a bit, and I will have exciting news to share on that soon, but no details to go into today. I think cats and dogs are a staple of pets, and if a pets feature that came about ever had anything but cats and dogs, I don't think it would go over so well.
I mean, cats had actually endured some pretty difficult fates in Fallout lore, so
yeah, absolutely. You can't even find a bottle full of milk in Fallout 4. I mean, right?
Yeah.
So poor cats.
Yeah, poor cats.
But yeah, Deathclaw pet sometime would be cool. Mole rat pet, absolutely. That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, we're definitely looking into that feature more. Hopefully we'll have more to share on it soon.
And about our companions that we have in our camps, we have the ally system that works really well in camps. But do you think that it might be something to introduce the option to also add allies to vaults?
Possibly. That could be a really good idea, to be able to sort of liven up vaults a bit for folks that are putting a lot of time into shelters. I know that there are some technical restrictions with that. It doesn't mean that those aren't things that we couldn't get around if we thought that that was a feature that players would like. But yeah, definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, and one more difficult but also recurring question that comes from many players who like to collect all the stuff, all the trash, all the cans they find in the world, myself included. Do you plan to further increase stash capacities?
We've talked about that too. Yes. Yeah. So again, no details to go into specifically, but the team does do a really good job staying in touch with our community feedback over all the various methods of social media. We look at all the feedback, big and small, and kind of notice the trends and the big beats, and that's definitely been one of them. So hopefully we'll have updates to share on that in the near future.
Yeah, so I made stop being over-encumbered all the time.
What's that? Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know. So looking on 76 from the bigger perspective, which Fallout 76 elements you find like most innovative comparing to other games of the series?
Oh, interesting. Most innovative for the series. Well, since Fallout 76 is a multiplayer game, it complicated how we were able to do VATS versus how the other games did it, right? The other games do it, and the time slows down, and in a multiplayer environment where there's other folks running around, you can't really do that. So I'm really a big fan of how we were able to solve that in 76 and still have it be impactful to gameplay and something that players regularly engage in.
And is there any element in particular that you are proud of in 76?
All of it, but if I have to pick one, let's see, one element. I'm really proud of our recent map expansion. I think the Skyline Valley expansion of the map is great. I mean, it gave us more canvas for telling our stories. It gave our players more opportunities to tell stories of their own, both in like how they build their camps, how they adventure with their friends through the space, and with caravans coming out, what sort of things happen to them on the road. I mean, it's I'd say the extension of the map, the mutation of the map, has been the coolest thing so far.
Yeah, you had the man. If you haven't yet tried Skyline Valley, hop onto the new region, check out the new Vault 63 plotline. It's really worth it. So, thank you on behalf of our Polish community and myself for finding time to answer questions.
Absolutely.
We are all keeping fingers crossed for the game to develop further. And see you in Appalachia.
Great. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all the great questions.